friends, this is Preeti. So today we are going to our main topic, sympathetic nervous system. So in my previous video we have read just an introduction about the nervous system, the different parts in nervous system, how they are divided and how neurons are connected to the organs and the neurotransmitters involved. So in pharmacy the two very interesting topics are medicinal chemistry and pharmacology. Okay, these two topics will be very interesting, and these two subjects will start in our fourth semester. Okay, they are of three parts: medchem 1, 2, 3 and college 1, 2, 3. Okay, they'll start from fourth semester. In fourth semester we have medicinal chemistry 1 and pharmacology 1. So in this we'll get sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. So while reading these topics, just relate both college and medicinal chemistry. Okay, don't read separately. In these videos also I will be explaining by combining both medicinal chemistry and pharmacology. Okay, the main difference between these two subjects is in medicinal chemistry we'll study how the structure of a drug is affecting the biological activity. Nothing but we'll study about the structural activity relationship, SAR. Okay. So SAR means the relationship between the structure and the biological activity. And next, if we come to pharmacology, it deals with the pharmacological actions of a drug. Okay. So I will be discussing briefly about these GQ, GI and GS receptors. Okay. In our body, majority of the receptors are G protein coupled receptors. Okay, these G protein coupled are of three types: GQ, GI and GS. In this, G represents guanine. Okay, GQ means in GQ receptor there is a stimulation of phospholipase C, and it results in the release of secondary messengers IP3, ionositol triphosphate and diacylglycerol. Whereas in GI there is an inhibition of adenyl cyclase enzyme, so there is a decrease in the production of secondary messengers, which is a cyclic AMP, adenosine monophosphate. Okay, in GS there is a stimulation of adenyl cyclase and there is an increase in cyclic AMP. Now we will see the functions. Cyclic AMP results in a smooth muscle relaxation and cardiac muscle contraction. Whereas cyclic GMP, it also results in smooth muscle relaxation, and IP3 and DAG results in smooth muscle contraction. Okay. So for detailed explanation, refer my previous video, which is General Pharmacology Part 2. In that you'll get an idea how smooth muscle is actually contracted, how it is getting relaxed. Okay, those mechanisms you will get in a detailed way. Okay. Now we'll go to the types of receptors. So sympathetic nervous system is mediated by 5 types of receptors: alpha 1, alpha 2, beta 1, beta 2 and beta 3. Here alpha 1 is GQ coupled, whereas alpha 2 is GI coupled, and beta 1, beta 2 and beta 3 are GS coupled. Okay. Here you can see the location and function. Alpha 1 is located in smooth muscle, liver, urinary bladder, vas deferens and eye. In smooth muscle it shows contraction except GIT. Okay, except gastrointestinal smooth muscle, remaining all muscles it shows contraction. And liver, gluconeogenesis. Okay, gluconeogenesis means synthesis of glucose from non-carbohydrates. Okay, then on urinary bladder it shows contraction, and vas deferens also contraction. And on eye it shows mydriasis. Here it is showing dilation. Okay, miosis means contraction. Okay, contraction of pupil of eye, whereas mydriasis means dilation of pupil of eye. Like this you can remember, in mydriasis there is D for dilation. So here we can see, by knowing the type of receptor, means if we just remember whether it is a GQ, GI or GS, if we know that, we can just correlate that with the functions. Okay, suppose if you take GQ, GQ, what it shows, the secondary messengers are IP3 and DAG. It shows smooth muscle contraction. So you can correlate with all this. Smooth muscle contraction, urinary bladder contraction, vas deferens contraction. Okay, like that. And in the next one, alpha 2, which is GI. It is located in presynaptic neuron, eye, pancreas and platelets. On presynaptic neuron, it inhibits the release of norepinephrine. Okay, it means alpha 2 is located on presynaptic neuron. So when a norepinephrine acts on this alpha 2 receptor, there is a negative feedback mechanism. There is no release of norepinephrine into the synapse. So it inhibits the release of norepinephrine. On eye, what it shows, it reduces the aqueous humor formation. And next, on pancreas, decreases the insulin secretion. And on platelets, it causes platelet aggregation. Okay, like this. And next, we'll come to beta 1, beta 2 and beta 3. Beta 1, these three are GS coupled. Okay, GS means the secondary messengers are cyclic AMP, means it's stimulation of adenyl cyclase which increases the production of cyclic AMP. And it causes, what are the functions? Again, smooth muscle relaxation and cardiac muscle contraction. Okay, here you can see beta 1 is located in heart and juxtaglomerular cells of kidney. So we have seen it is cardiac muscle contraction. So heart, increase in force of contraction. Juxtaglomerular cells means it increases the renin release. Okay, this beta 1 receptors are present on this juxtaglomerular cells. So when the norepinephrine acts on this receptor, what happens? There is an increase in renin release and there is an increase in angiotensin 2 and then there is a vasoconstriction and there is an increase in BP. Okay, angiotensin 2 is a powerful vasoconstrictor. Okay, and next beta 2, what it shows, it is present on lungs, smooth muscle, skeletal muscle, liver and mast cell. On lungs, it shows bronchodilation. Okay, as smooth muscle relaxation. So bronchodilation, smooth muscle relaxation. On skeletal muscles, it shows glycogenolysis, breakdown of glycogen into glucose. And next on liver also same, glycogenolysis. Whereas gluconeogenesis in liver is alpha 1. Okay, mast cell, decrease in histamine release. And beta 3 are mainly present on adipose tissue. So when norepinephrine act on the beta 3 receptors present on adipose tissue, there is a lipolysis. Okay, like this. So the neurotransmitter when acts on these receptors, the resulting functions are these. Okay, so now we'll see the synthesis and breakdown of this norepinephrine. Okay, first the norepinephrine is synthesized from the phenylalanine. Okay, and then it is acted upon by phenylalanine hydroxylase and it is converted into tyrosine. Tyrosine is also called as tyramine. Okay, and next tyrosine hydroxylase results in the formation of diorthophenyl acetic acid, and then it is acted upon by dopa decarboxylase and results in the formation of dopamine, and then dopamine beta hydroxylase into norepinephrine, and then this norepinephrine is acted upon by N-methyl transferase. This enzyme is mainly found in the adrenal medulla. Okay, there is a conversion into epinephrine. So in semester exams we'll get questions on synthesis of the compounds. There we have to draw structures. Generally we'll get in 5 marks. Okay, so here I did not give the structures. While explaining the classification of drugs, I will be explaining the structures also. So there are some drugs which inhibit the synthesis of dopamine and norepinephrine or epinephrine. So here we can see alpha methyltyrosine, which inhibits this enzyme tyrosine hydroxylase, and there is no synthesis of norepinephrine or dopamine. Whereas carbidopa, it inhibits dopa decarboxylase. Okay, generally we use this carbidopa drug in Parkinson's disease. Okay, Parkinson's is due to decrease in dopamine levels. In that case, we have to increase the dopamine levels. Okay, what happens is we can't take the drug dopamine directly, because dopamine cannot cross the blood-brain barrier, because the blood-brain barrier is highly lipophilic, whereas this drug is hydrophilic, so it cannot cross. So we take the dopamine precursor, which is levodopa. So when we take levodopa, it crosses the blood-brain barrier and there it converts into the dopamine. But there is a chance that it can also convert into the dopamine before it crosses the blood-brain barrier. It means while it is traveling to the bloodstream, it can convert into dopamine. Then there is no use of taking that drug. So what we will do, together with levodopa, we take carbidopa. So this carbidopa prevents the conversion of levodopa into the dopamine outside the blood-brain barrier. Okay. After crossing the blood-brain barrier, it gets converted into dopamine. Okay. And next, there are drugs like disulfiram and copper chelating agents, which inhibit dopamine beta hydroxylase. Okay, just remember these drugs and the enzymes which they inhibit. Okay, this is the synthesis process. So previously we have seen about synthesis, how the norepinephrine is synthesized. Now we'll see the breakdown, so how it is getting metabolized. So this is the norepinephrine structure. It consists of a catechol ring. Okay, catechol means this benzene with the 2 hydroxy groups is a catechol ring. Okay, this norepinephrine is acted upon by 2 enzymes, catechol oxymethyltransferase and monoamino oxidase. Okay, COMT and MAO. So when it is acted upon by COMT, it results in normetaphrine. Okay, and when it is acted upon by MAO, it results in norepinephrine aldehyde. Norepinephrine or noradrenaline aldehyde. So we'll get these 2 products, and here the normetaphrine is again acted upon by MAO and it results in normetaphrine aldehyde. Okay, these 2 products, norepinephrine aldehyde and normetaphrine aldehyde, these are acted upon by aldehyde dehydrogenase and aldehyde reductase. Okay, when they are acted upon by aldehyde dehydrogenase, okay, dehydrogenase means what? It removes the hydrogens. Okay, here we can see aldehyde dehydrogenase. There is a conversion of aldehyde to carboxylic acid. This enzyme converts aldehyde to carboxylic acid, whereas aldehyde reductase, it converts aldehyde to alcohol. Okay, and then here we can see aldehyde dehydrogenase results in dihydroxymandelic acid, whereas aldehyde reductase results in 3,4 dihydroxyphenylethylene glycol. Whereas here normetaphrine, when is acted upon by aldehyde dehydrogenase, it results in vanillyl mandelic acid, and aldehyde reductase, it results in 3-methoxy-4-hydroxyphenylethylene glycol. Okay, these are the short forms I wrote: DOMA, DOPEG. Okay, now the conversion of this DOPEG, 3,4 dihydroxyphenylethylene glycol into 3-methoxy-4-hydroxyphenylethylene glycol occurs in central nervous system. Okay, the conversion of this occurs in the central nervous system, and they are eliminated through urine, and finally they are eliminated through urine. Okay, here the enzyme involved is COMT. So here you can see what COMT enzyme is doing. It is converting the alcohol group into the methoxy group. Okay, catechol oxymethyl transferase. In the name itself, it is that methyl transferase. So we are adding a methyl group. Whereas what MAO does, it converts this amine group into a aldehyde. Okay, monoamino oxidase. Okay, this amine is replaced with the aldehyde. So if we see here, in DOPG structure, there is a catechol link CH2CH2OH, and in MOPEG there is a OCH3. It means these are acted upon by COMT enzyme. Okay, catechol methyl transferase. And then dihydroxymandelic acid is converted into vanillyl mandelic acid also by COMT enzyme, but this occurs in peripheral nervous system. This conversion occurs in peripheral nervous system. Okay, and the final products are eliminated through urine. Okay, this is the metabolism. Just remember what are the final products of when a norepinephrine is acted upon by COMT, and what are the final products when MAO is acted. So MAO results in dihydroxymandelic acid and 3,4-dihydroxyphenylethylene glycol, whereas if it is acted upon by COMT, it results in vanillyl mandelic acid and 3-methoxy-4-hydroxyphenylethylene glycol. Just remember the end products. Okay, for competitive exams, just remember these end products. But for semesters, we have to write this whole process. They'll just ask, write the catabolism of norepinephrine with structures. Medicinal chemistry means whatever the question they ask, we have to represent that with the structures. Okay, so now you'll understand clearly. First first see, this is the nerve terminal and this is the effector cell. It can be a heart cell, lung cell, or a eye, or a smooth muscle cell, etc. Okay, or pancreas or liver, okay, etc. Because alpha and beta receptors are present on those organs. Okay, organs are nothing but the effector cells. Okay, so now what happens? First from tyramine convert into dopa, and then dopamine, and then norepinephrine is synthesized, which is stored in the synaptic vesicles. So when the impulse is conducted through this neuron, there is an opening of calcium channels. There is an influx of this calcium ions into the nerve terminal, and as there is an increase in the concentration of this calcium ions, this synaptic vesicle fuses with these plasma membrane, and there is a release of norepinephrine into the synapse. This norepinephrine, it acts on the alpha and beta receptors present on this effector cell. Okay, for example, we take beta 1 receptors on heart. Okay, if this norepinephrine acts on the beta 1 receptors on heart, what happens? Beta 1 is GS coupled. GS means there is a stimulation of adenyl cyclase enzyme, and there is an increase in the production of cyclic AMP, and it finally results in cardiac muscle contraction. So whenever this norepinephrine acts on this beta 1 receptors, all this process occurs simultaneously. Okay, like this the process happens on the remaining receptors also. And then if this norepinephrine which is released into the synapse, it can act on this effector cell, or it can act on this alpha 2 receptors present on the presynaptic neuron. So whenever it acts on this alpha 2 receptor, what happens? It results in negative feedback mechanism. There is no release of norepinephrine into the synapse, so it causes the inhibition of norepinephrine into the synapse. And also it can also enter into the nerve terminal and get stored in the synaptic vesicles through this norepinephrine transporter, or it can get metabolized by MAO and COMT enzymes. So we'll get products like dihydroxymandelic acid and vanillyl mandelic acid. Okay, or it can either be taken up by this glial cells and get metabolized. Okay, so the norepinephrine is utilized by these many ways. Okay, it can either be metabolized, or it can be act on the effector cell, or it can act on alpha 2 receptors, a presynaptic neuron, or it can be reuptake by this norepinephrine transporter into the nerve terminal. Okay, and from this space it gets into the synaptic vesicle through the norepinephrine vesicular transporter. Okay, so now we'll see about the drugs. Reserpine. So first drug, reserpine, it inhibits this norepinephrine vesicular transporter. So then what happens? The norepinephrine cannot enter into the synaptic vesicles and get stored. So finally what it is doing? It is inhibiting the storage of norepinephrine. Okay, reserpine is inhibiting the storage of norepinephrine. So one more drug we'll see here, alpha methyl dopa. So what this drug does? This alpha methyl dopa, it inhibits the synthesis of norepinephrine. Okay, so we come back to synthesis and we'll see what this alpha methyl dopa does. See, here there is a dopa, and we are giving the drug alpha methyl dopa. So what happens is, this alpha methyl dopa and dopa will have a similar structure. Okay, this dopa does not have a alpha methyl group, whereas that drug will have a alpha methyl group. That is the difference. So here the competitive antagonism occurs. These two drugs compete with each other for binding to this dopa decarboxylase. Okay, for binding with this enzyme. So finally the drug binds to this enzyme and inhibit the synthesis of dopamine, and finally it also inhibit the synthesis of norepinephrine. So like that, this alpha methyl dopa inhibit the synthesis of norepinephrine. Okay, so that is the function of alpha methyl dopa. Next we come to guanethidine and guanadril. Okay, these two drugs, they inhibit the release of norepinephrine. Okay, how means? These two drugs, they displace the norepinephrine from the synaptic vesicle. Okay, so they inhibit the release of norepinephrine. So we got three types. One is inhibiting the storage, one is inhibiting the synthesis, and the other is inhibiting the release. Okay, just differentiate these three processes. Okay, and next we'll come to metanephrine and corticosteroids. Okay, these two drugs inhibit the reuptake by glial cells. Okay, reuptake of norepinephrine by glial cells. Metanephrine and corticosteroids. Whereas here cocaine and imipramine, they inhibit the reuptake into the nerve terminals. Okay, by norepinephrine transporter. They inhibit this process, cocaine and imipramine. So please like, share, subscribe and comment the video. Thank you so much for watching my video. We'll meet in our next video.